Have you ever been in a crowded room full of people laughing and chatting, but you feel completely alone? Like everyone else is just skimming the surface of life, while your mind is diving miles deep into thoughts no one else seems to notice. You sit there quietly, observing every detail, every unspoken tension, every layer of meaning behind the words people say, and instead of jumping into the small talk, you stay silent because superficial chatter just feels empty to you. Most people think that if you're quiet in social situations, you're shy, awkward, or maybe even arrogant. They assume you have nothing to say. But what if the real reason is the exact opposite? What if you're really not speaking because your brain is processing way more than the average person ever does? Today, I'm going to pull back the curtain on what it really means to be a deep thinker, and why this trait can feel like both a superpower and a hidden struggle in everyday life. If you've ever felt misunderstood because your mind won't shut off, or you've replayed a conversation in your head for days trying to uncover every possible meaning, stick with me until the end, because by the time this video is over, you'll finally understand why you experience the world so differently from everyone else, and more importantly, how to turn that depth into your biggest strength instead of letting it isolate you. Let's start with the most common misconception. People often confuse deep thinking with overthinking or anxiety. They say things like, just stop worrying so much, or you're thinking too hard about it. But here's the truth. Deep thinking isn't about stressing over problems, it's about being wired to see layers that most people completely miss. When someone tells a casual story, you don't just hear the words, you catch the tone shifts, the body language, the emotions they're trying to hide, and the bigger implications behind the whole situation. This happens because deep thinkers have an active inner dialogue running almost constantly. Your brain isn't content with surface-level input. It automatically starts connecting dots, asking why, and searching for deeper meaning. For example, when a friend cancels plans last minute, most people might feel annoyed and move on. But if you're a deep thinker, you start wondering if they were really busy, if something you said upset them, or if this reveals a pattern in your friendship that needs attention. And it's not just about other people. Deep thinkers turn that same lens inward. You analyze your own thoughts, emotions, and reactions with the same intensity. Why did I feel that sudden wave of sadness? What does this choice say about my values? Am I being authentic right now? This is called metacognition, thinking about your own thinking, and it's running on high volume for people like us. Because of this constant processing, deep thinkers naturally prefer meaningful conversations over small talk. Chatting about the weather or celebrity gossip feels draining because it doesn't feed that inner need for substance. Instead, you light up when the discussion goes deep, when you can explore ideas, motivations, human behavior, or the big questions about life. Those rare conversations where time disappears and you connect on a soul level. That's what you live for. However, this preference creates a real challenge in social settings. Most everyday interactions move fast and stay shallow. People jump from topic to topic without pausing to reflect. But your natural rhythm is different. You need time to process before responding, to choose words carefully, to make sure what you say actually matters. When you try to force yourself into that faster pace, it feels inauthentic and exhausting. So often you end up staying quiet or withdrawing completely. This can lead to feeling isolated even when you're surrounded by people. You might have friends, but still feel like nobody truly gets you. You learn to wear a mask, keeping things light and simple on the surface while your mind races underneath. Over time, many deep thinkers become experts at blending in, hiding their complexity to avoid standing out or being labeled as too intense. But here's where it gets interesting. That same depth that makes social situations tricky also gives you incredible gifts. Your ability to see patterns and connections that others miss makes you naturally insightful. You can read between the lines in ways that feel almost intuitive. People might come to you for advice because you just get it on a level they can't explain. Your empathy runs deeper too, because you feel emotions intensely and pay attention to subtle cues. You understand what others are going through even when they don't say it out loud. You remember details about people's stories that they forgot they shared. You sense when something's off long before anyone else notices. This makes you an amazing friend, partner, or colleague when you find people who appreciate that level of awareness. At the same time, this intensity has its downsides. Deep thinkers are prone to rumination, replaying events over and over, trying to extract every possible lesson or meaning. A single conversation can live rent-free in your head for weeks. You might analyze every word you said, wondering if you could have expressed yourself better or if someone misunderstood your intentions. This rumination isn't about wanting control, though. It's about wanting understanding. You want to map out how people think, what drives their behavior, and how everything connects. You're trying to build an internal framework that makes sense of the chaos of human experience. And yes, this extends to the biggest questions too. Not just daily interactions, but existence itself. What are we doing here? How does consciousness work? Why does time feel so strange sometimes? This is what separates deep thinking from regular worry. Worry focuses on future problems and how to avoid them. Deep thinking focuses on understanding reality at its core, even the parts that don't have easy answers. It's philosophical by nature, always probing beneath the surface of whatever presents itself, and this depth fuels creativity in powerful ways. When you see connections others miss, you can combine ideas in original ways, Many of the greatest artists, inventors, and thinkers throughout history showed these same traits: intense observation, constant reflection, and a drive to uncover hidden meaning. Your brain is literally wired for innovation because it refuses to accept things at face value. But in today's world, this trait is often misunderstood. We live in a culture that prizes speed, productivity, and quick responses. Social media rewards hot takes and instant reactions. Being thoughtful and measured can make you seem slow or indecisive. Taking time to process before speaking can be mistaken for lacking confidence. So many deep thinkers learn to dim their light just to fit in better. You might wonder if all this depth is worth the trade-offs. Does constantly analyzing everything make life harder instead of better? The answer is that it can, if you don't learn how to manage it. But when you do, it becomes one of the most rewarding ways to experience the world. One of the biggest emotional differences for deep thinkers is how intensely you feel everything. Regular emotions hit most people and fade quickly. For you, they linger and echo. Joy feels richer, sadness cuts deeper, and even neutral moments carry subtle shades of meaning. This is why nostalgia hits you so hard. A song, a smell, or an old photo doesn't just remind you of the past. It pulls you right back into the full emotional weight of that time. This intensity also makes you highly sensitive to your environment. Crowded places can feel overwhelming because you're picking up on every vibe, every conversation snippet, every shift in energy. Quiet spaces, nature, or meaningful one-on-one time recharge you because they give your mind room to breathe without constant input overload. But here's a quick win that changed everything for me. I used to think I had to choose between being my deep self and fitting in socially. Then I realized I could share my thoughts selectively, not dumping everything on everyone, but testing the waters with one insightful comment. When someone engages, I go deeper. When they don't, I pull back. This way, I stay authentic without overwhelming people or isolating myself. Another game changer is finding your people. Deep thinkers need at least a few connections where you can go all in without holding back. These relationships are rare, but they're gold. You don't need a big circle. Just one or two people who match your depth makes the superficial stuff bearable. Now let's talk about balance. Because unchecked depth can lead to getting stuck in your head, rumination turns into loops that drain your energy. The key is learning to ground yourself in the present. Simple practices like focusing on your senses, what you can see, hear, and feel right now, pull you out of mental spirals. Expressing your thoughts helps too. Journaling, creating art, writing, or even talking out loud to yourself gets the swirling ideas out of your head and into the world. It turns abstract processing into something tangible. Many deep thinkers discover their natural creators once they start channeling that inner world outward. Society might not always value depth in a world built for speed, but that doesn't mean your way is wrong. It's different. And different doesn't mean broken. In fact, the world needs deep thinkers more than ever. Quick fixes and surface solutions only go so far. Real progress, real innovation, real human connection comes from people willing to dive deeper. Think about the contributions that wouldn't exist without this trait. Philosophical breakthroughs, scientific discoveries, profound art, all often come from minds that refuse to stay on the surface. Your depth isn't a flaw to hide. It's a perspective the world desperately needs, even if it doesn't always know how to receive it. So if you've been feeling like you don't quite fit, know that it's not because something's wrong with you. It's because you're experiencing life in high definition, while most people are watching in standard. The colors are brighter, the details are sharper, and yes, sometimes the volume is louder. But that richness is what makes your experience uniquely yours. The goal isn't to become shallower to fit in better. It's to embrace your depth while learning tools to navigate a faster world. Protect your energy. Choose your conversations wisely. Express what needs to come out, and seek connections that honor your full complexity. When you do this, depth stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a gift. You enrich your own life with awareness and meaning, and you bring that same depth to everyone lucky enough to truly connect with you. In a world that's constantly rushing forward, choosing depth is an act of quiet rebellion. It's saying that life is worth examining, worth feeling fully, worth understanding beyond the obvious, and that choice makes everything more alive. So next time you're in that crowded room feeling alone in your thoughts, remember this: your silence isn't emptiness, it's fullness. Your mind is doing what it was built for, honoring existence by paying attention to what matters most.